Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio. So if you guys like the content, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and please do check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below, as well as the premium list. Let's go ahead and jump in. So we've looked at the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio many times. This is the y-axis here, right, is the Ether Bitcoin ratio versus time. Of course, it doesn't really make sense to look at it on a linear scale because you can't really then see the percent moves from each, or you can't see them so easily, right? So we switch it over to a log scale so that it makes a bit more sense, of course. And you can appreciate, the magnitude of this first move back in 2016, right? Even though here it doesn't seem as impressive compared to this one. But remember, when you switch to a log scale, you can see things a bit differently. So remember, the 2016 move was when Bitcoin was above the 20-week, and in fact, in that cycle, it was holding the 20-week moving average already. So in this cycle, we actually haven't held the 20-week moving average, but nevertheless, Ethereum is taking off against Bitcoin. And part of the reason is I think you could argue that it's the amount of time that it's been above the 20-week as well. If you look back in 2016, it was about 100 days or so after Bitcoin that was above the 20-week moving average where it started to make that move. And we have not confirmed the 20-week moving average yet in this cycle, but it was about 100 days before Ethereum started breaking out against Bitcoin. So we'll see what happens, right? If Bitcoin holds the 20-week moving average, I think it would be even more bullish for Ethereum. But yeah, we're still a ways away from that actually happening. If we color code this, which is what we like to do, we're color coding it. Here we're actually going to first talk about just the price in USD. But this is the price of Ether color coded by whether Bitcoin is above its 20 and 50 week moving average or below either one of them. So if the red means it has to be above both, the blue means it's below at least one of those moving averages. And you can see that, as we've said, when Bitcoin is below both of them, and especially just the 20-week, the valuation of Ether against the US dollar does tend to go down, right? So it goes down here, it goes down here, it does go down here, and then technically it's hard to tell, but it is a drop from here to this point over here. So every time that Bitcoin has gone below it, it has always led to a decrease in the valuation of the Ethereum price. Whenever it's above it, it has always led to an increase in the Ethereum price. So this move right here, again, this was expected. We talked about this. We prepared for it for a long time. We prepared for this one, right? We also prepared for this one over here. But this one right here was the one we talked about extensively back in December, expecting that to happen. And it happened. And then we capitulated, right, in March. And then it's now happening again. So this has all been business as usual, right? It's really not that surprising because this is what the data suggested would happen all along. And if you look at the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio, it tells mostly the same story, right? When it's above both of these moving averages, the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio tends to do well. 3 out of the 4 times it has done really well. When it's below it, every single time the valuation does go down. So from here to here, from here to here, from here to here, and then technically from here to down here when it was back above it, it did technically go down. And so the only time that it didn't go up when Bitcoin was above both of them was here in 2019. And I think at this point, obviously hindsight can further elucidate things, but I think at this point, the dominance, or I should say, just looking at, say, Bitcoin over the grand scheme, it was still very undervalued compared to a lot of these other coins. It was if you think back to January, February, March, and April of 2019, a lot of altcoins during that time were actually doing quite well. And Ether was actually one of them in late 2018 and early 2019. It was actually doing quite well against the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio. But later on, Bitcoin kind of reclaimed some of that ground. But ever since then, since this move in 2020, the move in 2015, 2016, and 2017, and then now the second move in 2020, the valuation of Ether against Bitcoin has gone up once Bitcoin was above both of these moving averages, which is exactly what we expected. If you take somewhat an arbitrary point, right? If you take this point as the low, this point as the low, and then this point as the low, and then try to normalize them, this is what you get. So this would be cycle 1 is the blue line, cycle 2, this is the ROI. Let's look at it on a log scale because this is what makes the most sense. So you can see first cycle, second cycle, and then if theoretically that other low is our third cycle, then that's what it looks like so far. You could obviously argue, where you might want to start this. Maybe you start it over here, so then it's pushed back 100 days. But you get the idea, right? In terms of the Ethereum Bitcoin ROI, it still is only up from the bottom. It isn't up that significantly, right? It's up about 2x, and 2x is great, right? But for crypto, we want to see these bubbles form, and especially an Ethereum Bitcoin bubble, I think would be a really nice bubble to see form in the short term. We'll see if it happens, but be on the lookout for it happening and reacting appropriately, because we've looked at this before. We acknowledge that we know that volatility is reducing. Therefore, the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio, the Ethereum Bitcoin ROI from that local bottom will likely not be as high. So use that information, in a way that hopefully can inform your decisions. This is not financial advice. If you think it's going to go up to 20x or something, then go for it. But for me, I will dynamically DCA out on the way up into Bitcoin, assuming that Bitcoin, it would be against Bitcoin if we're looking at the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio, because if this one's going through the roof, then that means that a safer place would be to go into Bitcoin if there's an Ethereum bubble in the short term. So let me pop back over to TradingView really quick. So the Ethereum price is now at 423, and as we said, a week ago or so, when it was down to 380, I think I made a video when it was back down to 380. Some people were getting uncomfortable with the price, right? Mainly because you get used accustomed to it being above 400, and then you don't like seeing it go below 400 again. But again, these are natural volatility, natural movements in crypto, expected volatility. And we said, as long as Bitcoin holds this level, 11.5, 11.6, even 11.4, we're going to see Ethereum go above $400 again and in the short term, right? And that's exactly, and we said in the next few days, and it did it the next day. So it's not surprising. I think it's just a fundamental shift, right, in the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio that is just happening, basically starting in 2020. And it seems so far that 2020 is the momentum shift year of the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio. I mean, you can see this was our downtrend, our bottom, for those who like double bottoms, which I don't really think are that important, but you can see one there, and then the second one there, and then back into a uptrend, and we're in what I would consider our future accumulation range, right? The question is, are we going to go straight into it for a long time, or are we going to come up and bubble first and then maybe come back into it? So this is what we're watching. Let me know what you guys think. We do have the premium list. You can check it out at intothecryptoverse.com. So check it out. You get access to the Telegram alerts channel, the private chat room. I think a lot of people do like the private chat room because it kind of filters out a lot of the noise from public Telegram groups. And then also, of course, you get access to the weekly videos, the weekly reports, the risk dashboard, and the strategies dashboard. So check it out. You can pay with crypto, get a discount. And also remember that the prices are going to be going up a lot in about 3 or 4 weeks, September 28th. So I guess about 4 weeks. So if you want to get your inflated at the lower price, make sure you sign up before that happens, because once we switch, that'll be it for the lower prices. And then let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below. I mean, one of the complaints I often get on my channel, right, is maybe speaking in a monotone voice or not talking about the flashiest things, right? But my job here, in my opinion, is not to entertain you. The purpose of the channel, the purpose of what I'm doing is in terms of looking at these moves in crypto, it's mainly to identify trends, whether they're boring or not, because it's about making money, right? Not bringing entertainment. There's plenty of YouTube channels for that, but this is not one of them. So hopefully you guys appreciate the content. Again, the nature of the content is not always going to be super drastically different, right, from one week to another, because at the end of the day, if you're looking from a data science perspective, there's only so many ways that you can frame the same conversation, but it's hammering those key points home, right? that I think is worthwhile, rather than bringing up like all these short-term technical indicators, which I think are mostly garbage in the first place. So I don't waste my time on that. I think it's more of a random walk rather than something that we can realistically predict in the short term. But right, we're going to be ready for if this continues to play out like we may expect, right? I mean, I think the stars are aligning, right, for a potential short-term bubble here. For Ethereum, arguably it's already in one, but watching it, wanting to see it march a bit higher would certainly be something that we could use to our advantage in the short term, in terms of accumulating more Ethereum before we really get moving and go above, say, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, right? Because this is the thing, we spend so much time at $200 and at $300 and even $100, and people get bored, right? But eventually, I think once Ethereum breaks $1,000 and $2,000, then it's probably going to get to then $3,000 and $4,000 relatively quickly, right? These are those moments that everyone waits for. These moves like you see right here. I mean, of course, this is the valuation against Bitcoin, but if you just look at the Ether USD valuation, you're always waiting for these major moves, and when they happen, they kind of take people off guard, and you're really just not ready for them. But we prepare for years, right? We prepare for years for those moves, and so that if you're the one buying in this region down here, you're already up several X when all your friends are asking to get in, right? So you don't want to be the one buying when it's already up 4 to 5X, or at least buying the majority of it. I mean, of course, there's an argument to continue to accumulate because we're still at relatively low levels. But the argument in terms of, say, the bulk of your portfolio is hopefully being accumulated when the price is low, right? And we're in these really bearish waters where really no one wants to talk about crypto, and people are probably even criticizing you for owning crypto, up here or something. But you recognize the volatility of the market. You recognize that the risk you're taking. You recognize that there's a really good chance, there's a really good probability that things will recover as they have been before. We look at the data suggests they will, and then when they do, it was not luck again, as we've said, it was a calculated risk, and it paid off, and there's nothing else to it. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you check out the Telegram channel. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys like the content. Also check out the premium content at intothecryptoverse.com, and I'll see you next time. Bye.